Let's begin this video in the best possible way, with a clip of Drew Pavlou's dad screaming at him and begging him to get a job.
Make sure that I can do...
Keep your profile low, okay? Before you go get a f***ing job.
I don't care about a job, I'm just trying...
I'm not paying for you the rest of your life, okay?
I'm fighting for what's right, that's why...
Just keep your profile down before you won't get hired by anybody.
I don't care about the squiggle line, I'm going
Who's
to...
gonna pay for you for Andrew?
I'm gonna be fine, I'm protesting tomorrow.
You might remember that I mentioned Drew Pavlou in my video in January about Kraut starting a really honestly comical campaign to try to get a drama YouTuber to make a video about me and linking up with the Argentine far right and stuff. But I'm gonna play a part of that video because Drew Pavlou has released a video talking about me, which can literally be debunked by me just playing parts of my own videos. We're gonna go through the precedents here, and then we're going to look at how this compares to the narrative that Drew Pavlou is trying to spin about this. Drew Pavlou, who, by the way, is paid by the far-right millionaire Simon Fenwick to do Zionist propaganda online. Drew Pavlou used to post Free Palestine, Israel is disgusting, and stuff like that. And then the Simon Fenwick money started coming in. He just did a complete 180. Now he works with the Australian Jewish Association, which is a far-right, even more extreme than the ADL propaganda organization and lobby group in Australia, and he works with Simon Fenwick, who, as I said, is a far-right financier, and they basically pay him to tweet all day, tweet and defame people all day. Here's the part of the video which talks about Drew Pavlou, and it's directly relevant to what we're going to go into after it. So the context here, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this organization, this Zionist harassment / doxing organization called Shirion Collective, made up a fake tweet about me. And they tried to spread it, and when it didn't get popular enough, they got one of their members, Drew Pavlou, to post it on Twitter and try to spread it more. And that's what I'm going over here. So they didn't really have much reach. On January 12th, 2024, they made this fake screenshot and started posting it everywhere, but they didn't really get much dissemination outside of their own circle. So at that point, they decided to try and enlist someone with a bigger following to spread their defamation against me. And the guy who ended up doing this for them was a total loser known as Drew Pavlou. Drew Pavlou is basically a guy who, ever since he was 18 years old, has been doing nothing but framing himself as a really brave anti-Chinese government activist while failing completely to ever actually hold down a job or anything at all. And a couple of years into that grift, he got noticed by Australian far-right financiers, chief among them a guy named Simon Fenwick. Simon Fenwick is a far-right millionaire who is deeply involved in the funding of many, many causes on the far right in Australia, and also, coincidentally, pro-Israel groups. So Drew Pavlou ended up getting hired by Simon Fenwick to shift from his previous grift, which was I am critiquing China from the left, I'm a progressive, to a new grift, which is much more openly right-wing and very much overtly pro-Israel. And this is very much a matter of public record. There was a case where Drew Pavlou was forced to disclose who pays him. Turned out that he received $25,000 from a company owned by Simon Fenwick. He's also openly thanked and praised Simon Fenwick numerous times for his support. It's open, it's clear, it's obvious that he's getting paid by this guy and possibly by others to basically just be a far-right troll online who defames people in mostly abortive attempts to get them to stop critiquing the causes that Simon Fenwick and others like him support. And Pavlou's horrible behavior under the influence of this far-right money became so extreme that he actually ended up getting expelled from Amnesty International for it. So Shirion evidently got in contact with Drew Pavlou, and he was very, very happy to start spreading the same stuff that they were spreading about me. And this new defamation campaign was centered around the screenshot that Shirion had fabricated and started trying to spread 3 days earlier. And wouldn't you know it, the fake Discord screenshot from that Vorsh subreddit post that we went over at the beginning of the story. Interesting. So basically, Drew Pavlou, as you see there, he posted he was a member of a Zionist harassment organization, and he posted a bunch of fake screenshots to try and accuse me of pedophilia. This also followed me getting a number of messages from Drew Pavlou, which included things like my passport number and my address, And this happened on December 2nd, 2023, which was more than a month before he and Shirion Collective's doxing and defamation campaign against me began, which happened on January 12th to 15th, 2024. So I think it's pretty clear that they had this planned in the pipeline for quite a while. Okay, so that's basically the context here. So given that Drew Pavlou was literally publicly accusing me of child sex crimes, he wasn't even just like using pedophiles like a random insult, which while borderline like, just calling someone a pedophile offhandedly in the same way you might call them like a cunt or whatever, you can probably be sued for that. But he wasn't doing just that. He was making specific allegations like he posted a fake screenshot claiming that I celebrated like the mass rape of Israeli babies, which, to be clear, not only did I never post that, but that nothing even remotely approximating that ever happened. And two, he posted a fake screenshot from years ago that was fabricated by Vorsh fans to like claim that I had been arrested or something, which I actually made a very funny video responding to show that I very much was not arrested, where I was just walking in the street. Hey guys, so I've just found out via this post on Vorsh's subreddit that I've been arrested. As you can see, I'm extremely arrested right now. I'm so arrested. Okay, you get the idea. So, in light of Drew Pavlou beginning a defamation campaign against me, I indeed sent him a concerns notice, which is something that you have to do in Australia. It's required before you can sue someone for defamation, which outlined, how he had made false imputations, imputation isn't the right word in English, but like false accusations of pedophilia. He made very specific allegations. Specifically, he claimed that I had been arrested for pedophilia, and he claimed that like I had made a post that any sort of discovery process would show never existed. So yeah, absolutely. Yes, Drew Pavlou falsely accused me of child sex crimes, and I threatened to sue him. Guilty as charged! Now, Drew Pavlou is someone who habitually does this sort of thing, and it's biting him in the ass. He's being sued right now by Hashtaya, who he has done something similar with. Hashtaya is a Australian CEO of a burger chain, suing Drew Pavlou for defamation. As this fantastic Instagram account outlined last year, paid troll Drew Pavlou sued for defamation by millionaire businessman Hashtaya. Great news reporting there by this totally unobjectionable source. He's also someone who he was convicted of being a public nuisance, convicted in court of being a public nuisance, lost his appeal against the conviction, and now he's not only fronting a massive fine for that, but he owes the court $10,000. So this is someone who is in a lot of legal trouble. This is someone who is not only a criminal, found to be a criminal by the Queensland courts, but who got themselves into more trouble by trying to contest the criminal case against them, to the point that now he owes $10,000. Now, none of this is on the down low or anything. Something that you should learn is that if someone sends you a legal letter and they immediately make it public, it's not serious. Like Ethan Klein sending Noah Samson a legal letter and then immediately making public shows that he sent the letter just for the sake of the content. He doesn't actually plan to go through with it. That makes it obvious, because that can hurt your case. So I didn't mention this publicly until I was sure that it didn't matter anymore. And that was when I decided that rather than suing Drew Pavlou for something that honestly, he deserves to be sued for, but it's not really impacting me as much as I thought it would. So I decided that instead of raising money to sue Drew Pavlou, I was quoted 30,000 Australian dollars for that, I would do a fundraiser for the UNRWA, which Israel says is Hamas, and send that money to them instead. And I announced this openly. So I sent the law firm that I had contracted to send the concerns notice to Drew this email on February 8th, 2024. Remember that date. I said, for now, please cease activities and send over a final invoice. So that was a direct order to them to cease activities. From this point on, we no longer had any relationship. I'm planning on doing a fundraiser and allowing my audience to choose what the funds will be used for, but I think they are very likely to prefer I donate to a charity rather than sue someone. So already on February 8th, the fundraiser was planned. And then I ended up running that fundraiser. The fundraiser was in March. Actually, I just uploaded this video a month later because I was lazy, I guess. But the fundraiser happened on March 3rd, I believe, early March, one of those days. We raised 81,000 United States dollars for UNRWA in lieu of suing Drew Pavlou, something which I don't regret at all. Raising $81,000 for the UNRWA is it's less funny than suing Drew Pavlou, but it's certainly a much better cause than raising money to sue Drew Pavlou. So this is what we ended up doing in lieu of suing Drew Pavlou, and I made it clear the whole time that this is what this fundraiser was about. That I had basically been inspired into doing it because the law firm told me it would be $30,000 to sue him as like an estimate. And I said, okay, I think it's better that we raise that much money. And then we ended up raising more than double that. Almost 3 times as much. And I said during the stream as well, I brought it up during the stream that, I was doing this rather than suing Drew Pavlou, and that I'm glad that I did. Let me show you that as well. And don't worry, this is all important context because I'm showing you all of this because this just disproves like this bizarre narrative that Drew Pavlou has constructed. Drew Pavlou basically, like, he created a narrative where, like, he beat me legally. I don't know what the fuck that could even mean. Like, he did like a creative writing exercise where he wrote a letter and attributed this letter to like the guy who he works for, who is a lawyer. I mean, he doesn't work for the guy, he's like an intern for him. And in that letter, like, he just makes up a bunch of shit about me and then he presents it to his audience who aren't very smart as if this creative writing exercise that he engaged in, which, to be clear, I never actually received this letter because by the time he had wrote it, all this was over. By the time he had wrote it, this was already done and dusted. He's presenting it to his audience as if we like went to court and he won because he wrote a letter in which he made up a bunch of shit. And it's probably the funniest thing you'll ever see. But I'm just going over all this context beforehand to show you how all of this information is already out there in public to refute his narrative. It was out a year before he even made this shit up. It's amazing, actually. Okay, so here's the first part of the VOD where I talk about how, I was doing this in lieu of suing Drew Pavlou because I considered this more important. Keep donating to the UNRWA. I might have undershot. The reason why I chose 30,000 is because I was quoted like 30,000 US, which is like 50,000 Australian, to begin to sue Drew Pavlou for defamation. Maybe I undershot though. Maybe we could have gotten more. So again, there's nothing like hidden about this. I was talking about it back then openly, and it literally inspired me to make a donation stream for the UNRWA, which Israel says is Hamas, because I thought that was a more worthy endeavor than suing this guy who owes $20,000 to Brisbane City Council for committing crimes. There's another point in this as well where I also bring it up again. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to end the stream now. It's been awesome. We have made almost 65,000. Surely we'll make more. Far beyond my expectations. I'm really glad that I did this instead of suing Drew Pavlou. So clearly, I was talking openly about the fact that I was initially going to sue Drew Pavlou, and then I decided to do this fundraiser instead. Now, let's watch Drew Pavlou's video on this and see how much of his narrative is destroyed by everything that I've already showed you. By the fact that I ordered my law firm to stop working on my case already on February 8th, 2024. By what I showed you about Drew Pavlou literally defaming me as a pedophile. Like the funny thing is, like, haha, bad empanada, you threatened to sue someone for publicly defaming you as a pedophile? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course. Why do people say that like it's a bad thing? I would hope that you guys would threaten to sue people who say that you're a pedophile, who accuse you of committing child sex crimes. God, like, these are the people too who think that, like, Ethan Klein threatening to sue Redditors for criticizing him is a good cause. And then it's like, what? Someone defamed you for saying that you committed child sex crimes and you wanted to sue them? One of those makes sense, and it's not the first one, it's the second one. Anyway, so now we're going to watch Drew Pavlou's video, which has a generous 900 views. But before we do, I want to show everyone a real tweet made by Drew Pavlou. Because something that Mr. Pavlou should have considered is that when you spread defamatory fake screenshots of others, you no longer have any recourse once people start talking about very real screenshots of you. Drew Pavlou is very, very into defaming people as pedophiles and accusing them of child sex crimes. This is not the first time he's done this to me. He's done this many times. Like, his most popular video with like 10,000 views or something like that, he's literally, look, pedo. He calls me a pedo. This is blocked in Australia for defamation, by the way. Like, YouTube blocked this in Australia because it's considered so defamatory that they can't show it there without making themselves potentially legally viable. So that's an interesting tidbit. If you try to look at this in Australia, you can't. So he makes a video accusing me of pedophilia. Defamatory false allegations of child sex crimes. Drew Pavlou posted this tweet talking about his desire to jerk off to murdered and raped Palestinian babies. Let me just zoom in so you can get this at as high of a resolution as possible and move myself away So, yeah, Drew Pavlou loves to make defamatory allegations against others of child sex crimes. And let's just say that when you do that as much as he does, it makes you fair game. This is a 100% real tweet, by the way. 100% real. There's numerous other crimes that Drew Pavlou has engaged in that are honestly too much to even bring up in this video. Like, I think they might get you banned off YouTube, but you guys can use your imagination. Whatever your imagination comes up with, Drew Pavlou might have committed that crime. You never know. So now let's look at Drew Pavlou's epic new video on me, and let's see how much of what he says here is contradicted. Bad Bernardo tried to sue me and I won. That's a funny framing in the first place. Because, like, there was never any sort of legal process that someone could have won or lost. It never got to that point. So what actually happened is I sent him a concerns notice, which is like sort of like a cease and desist. And then I decided that going forward would cost too much money, that it would be fucking ludicrous to spend that much money on suing this guy. And then I raised $80,000 for Palestine instead. As far as I'm concerned, that's a fucking win. Especially given how much this guy hates Palestinians, and he certainly doesn't want to see anyone raising money for charities preventing Palestinians from being killed. Let's watch his narrative now. Let's check out...
One of the worst YouTubers tried to sue me. I completely destroyed him.
What? I completely destroyed him. Let's check that out.
Here's how it happened. Now, Bad Empanada is a particularly sick and disgusting Greek. A Greek Australian Hamas supporter
This guy's accent is like fucking... It's like out of a fat pizza or something. It's out of a comedy. I can't take it seriously. It's like he's doing an exaggerated accent on purpose.
Living in Buenos Aires. He boasts hundreds of thousands of followers and he's recently been promoted by the single largest online political streamer, Hassan Piker. This is despite
Piker? Is that intentional?
the fact that he has explicitly called for the mass murder of all Israelis as well as terrorist attacks against Jewish civilians across
Let's see the evidence.
the world. This man is responsible for a reign of terror against hundreds of people online. A campaign that has now escalated to
A
the point
reign
where
of terror.
human skulls have been sent to the address of famous YouTuber
Human skull.
Ethan Klein. Bad Empanada has encouraged this terrifying harassment campaign while boasting about calling child protection services on Ethan simply because his wife is Israeli. In my personal case,
This is just Drew Pavlou like trying to get his subscribers up because he's been trying to be a YouTuber for a very long time. He's trying to get his subscribers up. Like he's desperately wants to get shouted out by Ethan Klein, basically. Like he makes so many videos on YouTube. He's been trying to make it as a YouTuber because he doesn't have a job for a long time and it doesn't work. Like he's finding out that like spamming dumb shit on Twitter doesn't work to get followers on YouTube. He just so many videos, so much effort, and it's just not working. And this video is basically his attempt to try to get Ethan to invite him on so he can get some subscribers. Didn't work for Lonerbox, it's not going to work for you.
Bad Empanada doxed my family members before posting my address and phone number to his followers and literally
This guy literally sent me, to be clear, he sent me my passport number. I had to get a new passport because of him. So what happened here is Argentine fascists doxed my passport number from government databases. This is not public info. You couldn't get this anywhere. Like you can get someone's Argentine ID number. That's public information. Their passport number is not public. The only way that he had to get that is that he was sent it by people who, with the new Argentine government, with Milei coming in, they got into like high up government positions and they used that to like enter government databases and dox people. And through that, they got my passport number. That's how he got that. I showed you that previously, right? So this is someone who literally got my personal details and identifying information from Argentine fascists, and then he spread them. He spread them everywhere, along with defamatory allegations of pedophilia in an attempt to try and get people to kill me. Straight up. And now he's playing the victim. This is so fucking great. I already showed you all the proof of this before we even got to this point.
encouraging them to kill me. Somehow he thought this was a good idea prior.
I have no comment on that at this time. But after what you did to me, which as we went over, with clear evidence, clear defamatory allegations of pedophilia with the intent to try and incite people into killing me while publicly posting my personal information as you did so, I would not weep a single tear at anything that happened to you.
To engaging a random no-win, no-fee, Better Call Saul law firm in Australia to try to sue me for defamation of character. This was a huge mistake on his part because I work for one of the best barristers in Australia, Anthony Morris KC.
How is this a mistake? Like, dude, you lose every case with this guy. Drew Pavlou has lost he hasn't won a single legal case where this guy has represented him. He's lost this one. He also lost another one where he famously tried to sue the Chinese embassy. The District Court of Australia dismissed an application for condemnation for a late appeal to the finding that consular immunity protected a diplomat from statements he had made. After protesting in a pro-Hong Kong rally at his university, Drew Pavlou blamed the Chinese consul for him supposedly being assaulted by protesters, and The case was dismissed. Drew Pavlou tried to contest him being found a public nuisance by the Brisbane City Council, and the case was dismissed. I have one of the best barristers in Australia, and yet you keep losing with him. It doesn't matter how good you think your barrister is. Who uses that term, man? Australians are fucking weird. You lose every single case with him. If he's the best barrister in Australia, then you are like extra double bad for losing so much with him.
Youngest person appointed silk in the entire Commonwealth in the 20th century. And he's previously represented clients ranging from Australian Prime Ministers to Oasis's Noel Gallagher. Anthony Morris
This is actually really funny.
KC sent a letter back to his law firm.
Is his like whole narrative here like, I know someone? He hasn't actually addressed what the defamation case was about, nothing like that. Is he going to do that?
Basically explaining that it was categorically impossible for Bad Empanada to be defamed by anybody on the planet because his reputation was already so deservedly horrible. We added a...
That's not something that you can do. Like even if that were true, that's not something that you can do. This was actually found in the state of Queensland recently in a precedent-setting case. It's called Billy Mitchell versus Carl Jobst. In this case, Carl Jobst hilariously argued, or I guess Carl Jobst's lawyers argued, that Billy Mitchell cannot be defamed because his reputation is already so bad that it's impossible. Mr. Jobst said that Mr. Mitchell had a pre-existing bad reputation because he had been publicly exposed as a cheat, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Jobst asserted that he had such a bad reputation that anything that Mr. Jobst said in the video did not damage his reputation further. Judge Barlow found that Mr. Mitchell did have a reputation as a cheat. Notwithstanding these findings, his honor held that the defamatory imputations made by Mr. Jobst had severely damaged Mr. Mitchell's reputation. In the state of Queensland, which is where Drew Pavlou is, clearly the precedent set in multiple cases is that there's no such thing as your reputation is too bad to be defamed. If someone makes something up about you and you sue them for them, it doesn't matter if your reputation is great or bad. You can still sue them for it. It's irrelevant. By the way, I never received any letter from him. This is pretty much a creative writing exercise where Drew Pavlou wrote something and then put like the guy who has him in an internship on the letterhead, which is extremely funny, to be clear. I think what this is like what a lot of Zionists and right-wingers do is they make statements. They act like those statements are facts. So Drew Pavlou says, this is like a statement of opinion. Bad Empanada has such a bad reputation that he cannot be defamed. That's an opinion. And Drew Pavlou thinks that because he wrote that in a letter, that means it's true. When not only does that not fly in court, but he's backing up for it is that he said so in a letter. Like, he wrote a letter himself that said that, and that's evidence for it.
Letter containing hundreds of his screenshots, and his law firm dropped him as a client almost straight away. Now,
his law firm dropped him as a client, almost stayed away. I showed that, didn't I? I showed the image. Hold on, I'll show it again. I showed the image of me telling them to cease all activities on February 7th because I was planning to do a fundraiser instead of suing Drew with the money that I would have raised. Because Drew seems to be going with this narrative that he was dropped by his law firm because I sent him a bunch of screenshots. If you look at the dates, you're going to see some contradictions to that claim. February 8th, 2024. Remember that. Let's see the evidence that he presents for his narrative.
To threaten people with defamation proceedings. This is actually one of his all-time favorite harassment tactics. And he's used this...
Threatening you with defamation proceedings for literally accusing me publicly of child sex crimes is a harassment tactic.
Against dozens of people to try silence their criticism of him. He's now trying to do this against Ethan Klein. Now, because Bad Empanada...
He's now trying to do this against Ethan Klein? Ethan Klein literally accuses people and says he's going to sue them 4 times every episode.
So insane. I've decided to open source Anthony Morris's legal letter to him. It shows that Bad Empanada has no reputation to be defamed.
A legal letter. It's just a letter. It's a stern letter. It doesn't show anything. It's a letter that you wrote. You wrote something yourself and now you're sourcing it as evidence for your claims.
Remember, when Anthony Morris KC sent this to his law firm, they dropped him as client immediately.
He said that twice. He said that twice within 30 seconds. Here is the email that shows that never happened. I ordered them to cease all activities because I want to do a fundraiser instead. It says it right here, February 8th.
Start from the beginning, January 2024. Very fucking official, very serious, guys. We act for Mr. George Ganitis.
Yeah, it's a legal letter. What do you think legal letters are supposed to look like?
Watch out. Our client is a prominent Australian social media personality, known for his YouTube videos containing commentary on various political and social issues. Our client first began posting YouTube videos and now has a subscriber base of over 121,000 people. He is also reasonably popular on Twitter with approximately 30,000 followers. Our client received the Don Gibb Royal Historical Society of Victoria.
Oh, no, this is something that you do in defamation proceedings where you establish your reputation beforehand. And the more reputation that you have, the more damages you can get from them. That's why this is done. You're supposed to do this in the concerns notice because it's like this isn't part of a legal threat or or anything. This is literally a part of establishing your case for if it goes to trial. So you establish the reputation of your client, you talk about who they are, like their reputation in the community, and then you go over like how the defamation impacts their reputation. This is a normal thing to do. Drew Pavlou is a law student, by the way, and he's going to try to frame this as like bad embarrass saying he's important. No, it's not that I'm saying that I'm important. It's establishing your reputation. To be clear, in Australia is a country where you can sue someone. The precedent-setting case for false pedophilia allegations in Australia is one where some guy's friend started falsely accusing him of pedophilia, and it went around the community to like 10 different people. This wasn't posted in the newspaper, wasn't posted online or anything. It was just something within their small friend group. That guy won his defamation case against the guy who initially spread that rumor. So in a case like this, you don't actually need to have a big reputation. Even interpersonal defamation can be actionable in the right circumstances. And in that case, it was decided as well that in Australia, the judge set a precedent in his judgment where pedophilia is the worst accusation that you can make against someone. And it is specifically an accusation that does not fly against any sort of argument that the person's reputation isn't big enough, or any sort of argument that the damages weren't big enough, because it's that bad. So this is, again, establishing the reputation of your client in terms of like how well known they are. This is a completely normal thing to do in a defamation case.
Prize in Australian history in 2019. Holy fuck, guys, watch out. And his videos and
yeah, and
writings have been published widely online, including by the literary journal Overland, the online magazine Counterpunch, and independent media outlet Zionist. Wow, fucking huge.
I can smell a tinge of jealousy here because even though all of this is clearly eclipsed by my YouTube channel, Drew has never achieved anything aside from like posting slop on Twitter. He's tried desperately, true.
Also a prominent Australian social media personality, well said, followed by approximately 5,000 people on YouTube and 79,000 people on X. Going to defamatory imputation, it is our client's position that by virtue of the offending publications, he has been defamed.
Oh, you notice how he starts editing? He starts editing the letter here so that you can't read the whole thing, because he wants to leave something out. Let's see what it is.
By you, watch out. The offending publications carry or likely carry the following defamatory imputations against our client. A, that he has committed one or more crimes warranting arrest. B, that he holds or has held illegal or improper material on his hard drive. C, that he has committed one or more crimes warranting deportation. D, that he is involved with the brutal guerrilla group, The Shining Path. E, that he is
That one was very funny. That one, like, I tried to discourage them from putting that in because it's so ridiculous, but they insisted on putting it in because they wanted to go for literally everything.
Rapist. Well said. F, that he's a murderer. Well said. G, that he is a terrorist. Yup. I, that he is a predator. J, that he's in favor of rape.
And Drew, by the way, actually edited this. What he's showing here is not what the original document looks like. Here's what it looks like. Do you see how he got rid of the part where he accused me of being a pedophile? He actually explicitly edited that out to try and make himself look better. Drew seems to really not want his followers to know that he makes defamatory allegations of pedophilia, because, you know, that would imply that making such allegations against him would be justified. He doesn't want to open that Pandora's box, so I'm going to open it for him. Given Drew Pavlou's clear, dishonest editing of the concerns notice here, I have no recourse but to release it in full, unredacted, so that everyone can see what it was actually about, which was him just plain posting fake tweets that he made to try and accuse me of literal child sex crimes. He focuses only on the list of imputations of those tweets without actually talking about what he did, which was post multiple fake screenshots to attempt to accuse me of child sex crimes. So yeah, I'll be releasing it in full.
Today, you have failed to apologize publicly or otherwise. Yup, that'd be right, for publishing the offending.
So he agreed with all of that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a list of things that it's permissible to say about Drew Pavlou, given that Drew Pavlou thinks that that's okay to say. And I encourage everyone to spread all of this about Drew Pavlou because he clearly endorses him saying all of these lies about me. So here's a list of facts about Drew Pavlou that everyone should spread everywhere. He has endorsed spreading whatever about me, but I'm going to say true facts about him. None of this is false, okay? This is for purposes of your screenshotting ability. We're writing it here. So you can screenshot it and spread it everywhere. Drew Pavlou is, what did he accuse me of? Let's check out the video again. Drew Pavlou is a criminal who has committed crimes warranting arrest. That's number one. Holds illegal material on his hard drive. Has committed crimes warranting deportation. Is involved with the IDF genocidal rape campaign in Gaza. 5, is a rapist. 6, is a murderer. 7, is a terrorist. 8, is a predator. 9, is in favor of rape. We know that, don't we? What's next?
Today, you have failed to apologize.
That's the list. And I think is a pedophile who has committed child sex crimes is warranted as well. So here is a list of Drew Pavlou's heinous crimes. By his own endorsement, it's totally okay for us to spread this around after all. His reputation is already so bad that you can't defame him. This vile, disgusting tweet that Drew Pavlou factually posted. Drew's going to complain about this. He's going to complain that he's being harassed as a poor little victim. You literally endorsed doing this to me. Maybe you should have thought of that, Drew. And what I'm doing to you, to be clear, it's not even the same thing because everything that I'm saying about you is factually true. And you can't disprove any of it. Everything that I'm saying here is true, 100% true. This is not even defamation, it's just facts. Whereas you made shit up about me. So, an eye for an eye. Not even an eye for an eye. Let us continue with Drew's amazing video. It's like, I falsely accused someone of child sex crimes and they tried to sue me. Yes. Caught red-handed. I did.
Publicly or otherwise. Yup, that'd be right. For publishing the offending publications or publish any retraction or correction of the defamatory imputations. Yes, again, that would be right because they're all true. Pursuant to section 14.
Are they all true, Drew? Drew Pavlou is a criminal who has committed crimes warranting arrest. Drew Pavlou is a pedophile who has committed child sex crimes. They're all true.
2 of the Act, we are instructed to demand and hereby demand that within 28 days of the...
He's reading this like this is not just what you're supposed to put in a legal letter.
Which includes the following. And this part's brilliant, guys. We really need to emphasize this. A suitably worded apology to our client. First, approved by our client. B, an agreement that you will refrain from repeating, circulating, or publishing the offending publications. Again, watch out, guys. C, an agreement that you will, within 48 hours of acceptance of this offer.
This is literally just the normal stuff that you put in a defamation letter. Especially in Australia where you have to send a letter like this before you can actually sue. This guy's supposed to be a law student, by the way.
To remove all videos, posts, comments, and other publications about Mr. Empanada, including the offending publication that you have published online in relation to our client or its products. E, I love how it's just literally a template because what fucking products does Bad Empanada offer, mate? E, an offer to pay our client compensation for loss suffered. And F, an offer to pay our client's costs in respect of the preparation and service of this notice in the sum of $4,238.72. Holy fuck. If you fail to properly respond to this notice and address our client's concerns within the time frame stipulated above, we will take instructions.
You ever notice how right-wingers just think that repeating something in a funny voice is like an argument? I'm noticing that a lot with Drew. You falsely accuse someone of child sex crimes. You falsely publicly accuse someone of child sex crimes. That you did that means that you can never ever sue anyone, anywhere, for saying the same about you, Drew. You know why? Because they can just bring up the fact that you clearly think it's okay because you did it. So I want to be clear. You are allowed to publicly accuse Drew of anything you want. He can't sue you for it because you can show him publicly endorsing he himself doing that. Drew Pavlou has opened the floodgates against himself by making a video like this.
To commence court proceedings against you pursuant to the Act, i.e. upon the expiry of 28 days of receipt of this notice without further notice. Now, friends, it's been 16 months since I received that terrifying, scary letter. I have yet to be taken to court.
I clearly made a fundraiser where I stated multiple times that I was doing the fundraiser in lieu of suing Drew Pavlou. And he's acting like this is like a secret thing that I was keeping under wraps or something. No, I've talked about this publicly like dozens of times.
Court by Bad Empanada. He's yet to commence defamation proceedings against me. Why might that be? Well, unfortunately for him, I had Anthony Morris KC step in to represent me pro bono for free because he agrees with my cause. First,
no, this guy, to be clear, this guy usually doesn't actually represent Drew directly. What Drew has to do, as you can see with the Chinese embassy case, I'll show you. I have evidence for it. So in the Chinese embassy case, Drew Pavlou actually had to get like a court-appointed lawyer because the guy who he interns with didn't want to put in the time to actually represent him himself. The court acknowledged Pavlou's explanation that the delay in the file was due to his difficulties in locating legal representation until eventually securing services through Law Rights Pro Bono Connect scheme.
I want to just quickly note my response. Dear Sir, Madam, Mr. Pavlou is currently out of office until the 32nd of February. We will endeavour to respond at the earliest.
He's not funny. He tries desperately to be so, but...
Message, I think they would have enjoyed receiving that. Now we come to Anthony Morris's letter in reply, which is one of the best letters I've ever read in my entire life.
To be clear, it's a letter. He's framing this like there was a legal case. What letter? I've never seen this, by the way. They never sent me a letter. I never received any letter from them. So you can see already the date here, 23rd February 2024. I already cut associations with this law firm on February 8th. They sent out a final invoice and everything was finished before this letter was ever sent. So what seems to have happened here, hilariously, is Drew sent this letter to the law firm that I had already cut ties with. And he just assumed, like he made up this narrative where they dropped me after receiving this incredible letter. When, again, to be clear, I never received this. This never came to me. If the law firm even received it, we don't know because they never responded to it according to Drew himself. So Drew's narrative here is this letter was so devastating that the law firm dropped me as a client, which, to be clear, this was a slam dunk case for them because in Australia, you can't just go out making pedophilia allegations against people willy-nilly like that. And then Drew wrote up like a letter. He wrote up like a letter and attributed it to his boss, or the guy who he interns for. Calling his boss is a bit much. He wrote up a letter and put that guy's name on it, basically with like a bunch of Drew Pavlou's fantasies in it, like stating things as fact that he has no evidence for. Now, the fact that he reiterated the defamatory allegations of literal child sex crimes in this letter would have been a slam dunk. And honestly, if I had actually received this at the time, I probably would have gone through with it. Because the fact that he was doubling down on the claims, rather than trying to argue that like, oh, it was just joking or something like that, would have been a slam dunk. But I had never seen this until he uploaded this video.
Pavlou and George Ganitis. I represent Mr. Drew Pavlou, and he has asked me to respond to your letter of 30 January 2024, purporting to be a concerns notice pursuant to Section 12A of the Defamation Act 2005, Queensland. Mr. Pavlou has provided me with detailed instructions regarding the assertions contained in your letter. However, I find it is unnecessary to engage with all the details contained in a lengthy and somewhat repetitive item of correspondence. That is because Mr. Pavlou has no intention of making amends, either in the manner demanded in your letter or at all. If your client chooses to institute proceedings for defamation, Mr. Pavlou will defend those proceedings and will also counterclaim on the grounds canvassed below. No reputation.
Just to be clear here, he can't counterclaim against me. I'm in Argentina. If he wants to file a case against me, it has to be in Argentina. You can't file a case against someone in fucking Australia with no assets, no ties there aside from citizenship.
Capable of being harmed.
Like, he writes this phrase in a letter that he himself penned, and then he cites the letter that he wrote as evidence of this being true. Like, no reputation capable of being harmed. Look at this thing that I wrote. I'm going to cite myself saying it as proof that it's true. When not only is that an opinion in the first place, but legal precedent in Australia shows quite clearly, as I showed earlier with the Billy Mitchell case, it doesn't matter how bad someone's reputation is, you still can't say wrong things about them that are patently false and demonstrably false. Accusing someone of being investigated for child sex crimes or whatever, that's something that you need to provide proof of. If that went to court, you would get totally fucked on that.
Despite the rodomontade contained in your letter under the subheadings background and serious harm, Mr.
Rodomontade? Did you Google that one? Now that's worthy of being read in a funny voice. Despite the rodomontade. Were you wanking yourself off when you wrote that one?
Satisfied that your client enjoys no reputation in Queensland, which is capable of being injured by the identified publication. Your letter mentions that your client received the Don Gibb Royal Historical Society of Victoria Prize in Australian History in 2019. This prize is largely unknown in Queensland, and any weight which may be given to it as enhancing your client's reputation would depend on the selection criteria for this prize, as well as evidence of its reputation.
You notice how Drew Pavlou tried to claim that like establishing reputation isn't something that you should do. Like, he's like, oh my God, it's so weird that you do this. It's so wrong. And then in the letter that he wrote in response, he specifically tries to claim that none of that stuff matters. So if it doesn't matter, then why were you arguing against it in the first place? It's interesting to see this because this is something that Drew Pavlou himself wrote and then never released for like a year. Like, he never sent it to me. I never received it. As far as I'm aware, he never, like, this was something that he wrote himself as like I guess to make himself feel better.
Is that any reputation which your client may enjoy and any harm which that reputation may have suffered must be viewed in the light of your client's remarks as published to a substantial following on social media. Needless to say, your client will...
This is him just straight up doubling down on the fake screenshots and the fake claims.
We thoroughly cross-examined on these matters at trial, without at this stage foreshadowing all of the topics which Mr. Pavlou will plead by way of defense. I attached a bundle of posts made by...
It wouldn't matter, like, cross-examination. Here's what would be decided in a defamation case. Is this post real? Easy. Discovery, subpoena Twitter, no post. Done. Second, are the other claims real? Like, has he been arrested? Has he committed crimes? Subpoena Discord. Was this message ever posted? No. Done. Look at criminal records. Look at publicly available records. Ask the police service if there's any records of such crimes. Nothing. Done. You wouldn't be able to cross-examine someone when you made specific claims of literal child sex crimes. These are statements of fact that are proven based on the evidence for which nothing exists. Yeah, what's with the fucking free music as well? It's so weird. It's so out of place. So this is just like a list of claims that he makes. Like, things that he says, right? Something that you, again, will notice with these people is they say things as statements of fact with nothing to back them up. Watch.
your client under the pseudonym Baden and Panada. I note that your letter under reply contains explicit admissions that your client is the person behind that name. Collectively, these posts are capable of supporting conclusions that your client, 1, has expressed his open support for prescribed terrorist organizations, including Al-Qaeda.
That one's a funny, that's very funny because like you're sued on the basis of false imputations of child sex crimes. You go to court and you tell the judge, Your Honor, this guy has said that he likes Hezbollah and Al-Qaeda. You know what the judge would say to that? Okay, but the child sex crimes, what about that? Including that in a letter that is specifically about you falsely accusing someone of child sex crimes is so like nonchalant that it's hilarious. I don't know, I think this must have been written recently. It's pretty clear this was written to like share online with like Ethan Klein and people like that rather than as an actual legal letter. Because if he went to court over this, none of these arguments would even remotely hold up. Like this is just, it's made to look like an official like court letter so that dumb people like Ethan Klein would share it as if it's like a judge saying this rather than Drew Pavlou just writing it and trying to make it look official.
2 is an anti-Semite who has called for the mass murder
Why is he just flashing random shit on the screen?
Millions of Jews across the world.
He's called for the mass murder of millions of Jews across the world? Where does any of this say so?
Atrocities like the Uyghur expressed his open support for prescribed terrorist organizations, including Al-Qaeda, Hamas, anti-Semite, who has called for the
He's just flashing random tweets on the screen. You would think that he shows
mass murder
evidence. Where's the evidence of this? What is this? Where's the mass murder? Can someone please tell me where the evidence? I have to pause on all of this.
Millions of.
This is me citing a poll where Palestinians polled said that they support complete expulsion of Israelis. Yeah, not surprising. Israelis genocide them. He wants to kill millions of Jews. And the evidence for this is I don't care about an insufferable hippie trust funder who just had to go to a rave outside a concentration camp. This is the evidence. This is your source. This is what I say. Like they make claims and they don't provide any evidence for it.
Across the world.
This one, I see nothing wrong with dismembering occupying IDF colonizer soldiers. Yeah, this was a lynching of IDF occupiers. They got mobbed by civilians who they were occupying and killed. Yeah, and how is that calling for the death of millions of innocent Jews? Where's the evidence of this? None of this is like, let's go bomb Tel Aviv. And this is the Mossad building, the Mossad HQ. And this is the Israeli Ministry of Defense, both valid military targets. This is your evidence?
And who regularly
90% of Israelis support the massacre of Palestinian civilians. Yeah, it's in the poll. It says it right there.
People of the Jewish faith.
You notice how this works, right? It's a statement backed up by completely random screenshots. Half of them Drew Pavlou made himself. And when you look at them, they don't actually say anything remotely like what he's saying that they do. And not only that, but it has nothing to do with what he's being accused of in the letter, which was false accusations of pedophilia. This is so much worse than I thought it would be.
3. Regularly defends, makes light of, or mocks horrific atrocities like the Uyghur.
Everything said here is true. And again, this is irrelevant. This is so irrelevant. Like, you have to understand how absurd this is. Like, we send a concerns notice, right? Saying, you falsely accused our client of child sex crimes. And in response, Drew Pavlou writes like a letter in which he says, actually, your client denied the Holodomor. And as evidence of this, it's me just stating a fact. Could you imagine? Oh my God, I wish I had seen this. I wish I had seen this at the time. Oh my God, if I had seen this letter, holy shit, I would have sued him anyway. Because this is like the worst defense I've ever seen. It doesn't even address the fuck, it's just a bunch of random nonsensical shit. Like, Baden Banara said the Holodomor was not a genocide, rather an accidental famine that also affected Russia and Kazakhstan. This is agreed upon by every remotely credible scholar on the matter. Yeah, that's just true. That's all true. This is your citation? Does anyone who reads this stuff from these people have a brain?
Genocide. The Holodomor.
This is a great one. Billions must die. Billions of Uyghurs must be in camps.
The Bosnian genocide and the terrorist mass murder campaign.
I'm interested both in embarrassing you live and also giving you the Chairman Gonzalez special. That's a fucking banger.
And carried out by the Shining Path in Peru. 4.
Stalin, like, the funniest thing is being accused of supporting the Shining Path. The screenshots on screen don't even have anything to do with what he's saying. And they're also bangers. These are highlights.
Has called on his followers to carry out indiscriminate terror attacks against American and Israeli civilians and has called for the killing of both Israeli.
Like, most of these aren't even from me. I'm pretty sure most of these are like fake or like from impersonator accounts. Dude, there's so much random screenshots I can't even fucking click on any. When I click, it's just more and more. Like he flashes on the screen for literally less than a second.
7. Has joked girls and has thereby condoned the use by Hamas of rape as a gruesome fashion. 5. Has called on his followers to assassinate the President of the United States of America as well as numerous other elected American officials. 6. Has
I would never do such a thing. That's a lie.
joked about Hamas raping or assaulting Israeli women and girls and has thereby
No, not one Israeli woman or girl has been raped. So where's the joke? Okay, the evidence of this. Israeli propaganda is like, look at this woman. She was so white. Her eyes are blue. Isn't she beautiful and also white? Yeah, it's fucking hilarious because the Israelis do nothing but like post videos of scantily clad women supposedly killed on October 7th dancing. And the message is clearly like, look how fucking hot these women are. And you know, there's a reason they post the videos of these white women and not the men. It's fucking obvious. It's like colonial propaganda. Like, look what they did to our women. We should genocide them. So yeah, and this also has nothing to do with the claim that you're making. These screenshots have nothing to do with what he's stating. He put this up. This is the second time he's used this one.
By Hamas of rape as a weapon of war. 7. Has joked about Hamas molesting or assaulting Israeli infants and children, thereby condoned such molestation and assault.
Oh my god, my head is spinning. I'm laughing so hard. Jump scare. He put that in as proof that I supposedly celebrated, like, what was he saying? Like the rape of Israeli civilians or something? Should Drew Pavlou's children be pressing the jannisary duty? That's your citation? That's a great tweet. That's a banger fucking tweet. I'm pretty sure there was a poll attached to this and he edited out the poll because like it was 99% yes. He didn't want to show the poll. Holy shit, that's amazing. This is your evidence? Can you imagine going to court and making that claim and then you put this tweet on the screen? You're like, I rest my case. Full Ottoman rule of Drew Pavlou. Now, this is so great. Oh my God, this is taking so long, but like I had to stop here. Honestly, I laughed so hard, like I think I gave myself a headache. That's amazing. Oh my God.
And their use as a weapon of war. 8. Has regularly threatened to kill online critics of Hamas as well as
what?
Other political commentators.
I remember this. This was like the fake screenshot that Aristocracy posted of me supposedly threatening her with like a Palestinian terrorist attack from the First Al-Aqsa Palestinian group, which is to be clear, from a video game and doesn't exist. This is amazing.
YouTube and Twitch. 9. Has committed or alternatively has been identified by authorities in Argentina as a person who has committed one or more crimes warranting arrest. 10. Has committed or alternatively has been identified by authorities in Argentina as a person who has committed one or more crimes warranting.
Okay, this to be clear, this is proof of what I said earlier of Drew Pavlou coordinating with right-wingers in Argentina to steal my personal information. So this is from my citizenship application. This is not public. You can't access this unless you have access to the government databases. So the question is, how did Drew Pavlou get this? From coordinating with the fucking Argentine far right, who after Milei got into power, used the fact that Milei was giving them privileged access to government databases to start doxing critics of Milei. He literally just proved it here by putting this in here. This is not public. He does not have any access to this unless that's the case. And his evidence of me committing crimes, what he just said, like he said, there is evidence of Bad Emanada committing crimes. This is a civil case of a request for citizenship. This is a civil case of a request for citizenship. This is your proof of me committing crimes? Your Honor, what I said about him being guilty of child sex crimes is true because he applied for citizenship. That's amazing.
Deportation. 11. Holds or has held illegal or improper material on his hard drive.
This is just that's the fake tweet from Vorsh fans. I mean, the fake Discord from Vorsh fans that I said.
12. Regularly threatens to post the names and addresses of his online critics as a tactic to silence and
if you defame, you should have far worse done to you in return. And this is Theodore Casals, a politician in France running for public office. You can't dox a politician running for public office. Theodore Casals, candidate for the Volt Party of some shit in France. You can't dox this fucking person. Imagine presenting this before a court. Like, you can't accuse someone of child sex crimes and then bring up a bunch of irrelevant shit. The only matter that it would be decided in court is whether the accusation of child sex crimes are true or false. That's what defamation is about.
13. Has sent death threats to Mr. Pavlou and has openly bragged about
has sent death threats to Mr. Pavlou. He showed the jannisary tweet again.
Illegitimate and
has sent death threats to Mr. Pavlou. Should Drew Pavlou's children be pressing their jannisary duty? Amazing. Amazing. Oh my God, this is so fucking good.
And unmeritorious defamation proceedings against him as a brazen cash grab. 14, has falsely referred to Mr. Pavlou as a rapist and a pedo, and thereby defamed him and openly admitted to having regularly invented such false allegations as smears against those whom he opposes politically. 15, has a long history of publicly endorsing child abuse, rape, mass
Where's this long history?
murder, and genocide through his posts, thereby demonstrating that he is a deeply amoral
He starts saying that, and the tweets stop showing up on the screen.
an antisocial individual who poses a very real danger.
He literally, like, that's the one part of the video where, to be clear, he didn't show any evidence for the other parts either. It was just random, seemingly unrelated tweets. And then when he gets to the part that is actually a direct response to what was being talked about in the concerns notice, which was him falsely accusing me of child sex crimes, he doesn't even show any evidence. He just says so. That's amazing.
To society. Very well said, Mr. Morris Casey. Going
You wrote that yourself, man.
on. There are no fake posts, despite the assertion which you have made on instructions. Mr. Pavlou has not and would not create forged or confected posts, whether in the name of your client or in the name of anyone else. All other considerations aside, your client has more than sufficiently demonstrated his true character by posts which he has made without Mr. Pavlou's having to create additional examples. Well said.
That doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you think that or not. In the case, what would be decided would be what's outlined in the concerns notice, so not this other random shit that you made up. That's why in the concerns notice, you have to put the things that you plan to sue for. You can't just add shit on later. That's what it's about. So anyway, I sustain that this is a true tweet of Drew Pavlou. So what happened is Drew Pavlou posted this tweet, and then he took the tweet and lied, trying to attribute it to me as a clear case of defamation. To be clear, this is a real tweet. This is a real tweet. Screenshot it. There, I'm in the corner for your screenshot privileges. There you go. There's no fake tweets of you, Drew. They're all real.
Why would I have to invent new tweets to attack Bad Empanada when these tweets already exist?
That's literally what he did, as I showed at the beginning in the video that I already went over.
In any event, if your client seriously intends to conduct such a case, Mr. Pavlou would invite him to preserve his hard drive in its current condition and have it sealed and notarized so that it may be subjected to proper forensic examination when he comes to Australia for the purpose of testifying at the trial.
That's extremely fucking funny. For one, in a case like this, you don't have to give up your hard drive or anything. Nothing like that. In a case like this, you don't get the opportunity to literally delve into every little aspect of someone's personal life to see if the things that you made up about them are true or not. All that would possibly happen is subpoena to Discord, see if this message was ever posted. Once it's not posted, done. 100% done. Then they'd be able to look into things like arrest records and stuff like that. Has he ever been arrested? Have the police ever been investigating him for potential arrest? Once that stuff is done, it's over. And the thing about traveling to Australia to testify at trial, no, you don't have to do that. No, obviously not. At most, you show up via video link. A defamation trial is not, or maybe in the US it is, but I don't know. In Australia, you can't use it as an excuse to like you can't say something about someone without evidence and then try to back it up by delving into every aspect of their personal life to try and basically scare them into not suing you by threatening to breach their privacy. If you don't have evidence for the claim when you make it, you can't try to prove it post hoc. That's not how it works. So his arguments here are clearly bunk anyway.
And this is the best part. Tony used this letter as a kind of Uno reverse card to advance my own counterclaim against Mr. Ganitis. As previously...
What counterclaim? For one, you can't make a claim against me in Australia, where I live, where I supposedly made these claims. You can't just make a counterclaim against someone in a jurisdiction which has no jurisdiction over them.
Mentioned, should your client choose to institute proceedings, Mr. Pavlou will be counterclaiming for the harm caused to him by your client's publications, falsely accusing him of being a rapist and a pedo for the purpose of Section 12A of the...
This is not false, Drew. This is 100% true. This is a real tweet. This is a real tweet, Drew. Why'd you post this disgusting tweet, Drew Pavlou?
This letter constitutes a concerns notice on behalf of Mr. Pavlou. Moving on, the harm that the person considers to be serious harm to the person's reputation caused or likely to be caused by the publication of the matter in question, extreme harm to Mr. Pavlou's reputation having regard to the size of your client's online readership, your client standing as the winner of a prize in history as an author.
I so fucking wish that I had seen this, because he never actually sent this to me. So I obviously never received it. But if I had seen this, like the fact that it contradicts itself, like your client has no reputation, and then they go on to argue that actually your client has reputation in the same letter. Do you understand how fucking terrible this would go for them? Oh my God, why didn't he send this? If I had actually fucking seen this, I would have fucking gone through with this, man. Oh, I'm so disappointed.
That's so good.
That's not so good. That literally contradicts yourself. That would fuck you over.
And just to really Uno reverse card them, Tony uses the claims about Bad Empanada's amazing reputation to say, well, actually, that makes his defamation of Drew Pavlou very serious indeed.
You can't say that, though, because you spent the first paragraph of your supposed response arguing that I don't have a reputation. This is so great.
Or the harm that the person considers to be serious harm to the person's reputation caused or likely to be caused by the publication of the matter in question. Extreme harm to Mr. Pavlou's reputation having regard to A, the size of your client's online readership. B, your client's standing as the winner of a prize in history and as an author published in various hard copy and online publications. Mr. Pavlou's position as a prominent Australian social media personality expressly admitted in paragraph 7 of your letter, and also as a former candidate for election to the Australian Senate, a political activist, a prize-winning student at the University of Queensland, and a person who has been widely profiled in respected Australian and international publications. And
Drew Pavlou's reputation, by the way, here's Drew Pavlou's reputation. He's an international terrorist who called in a bomb threat to the Chinese embassy in Britain. He constantly carries out frivolous legal cases, which he always loses. He got fined for being a public nuisance by the Brisbane City Council, and he's currently on the hook for thousands of dollars in fines and $10,000 in the legal fees that he owes them after his frivolous appeal for that was dismissed. He's a disgusting Zionist genocide propagandist, a supporter of Israeli genocide and rape. He's basically considered to be nothing more than a public nuisance. He's never held down a job. He's funded by the far-right millionaire Simon Fenwick. He has shady ties to the far-right Nazi Zionist AJC. He does nothing but post on Twitter all day, desperately trying to make money from the blue checkmark ad-sharing program. That's Drew Pavlou's reputation.
D, the principal also expressly acknowledged in your letter that it has long been held by the Australian courts that to be called a pedophile is one of the worst possible things that could be said about someone if it were untrue. Yours sincerely, Anthony J.H. Morris, KC. What a letter. What a beautiful letter. Now, 2 weeks after sending that letter, Tony Morris followed up with his lawyers, and that's when we determined that Bad Empanada had completely capitulated. Drew Pavlou and George Gonitis. I refer to my letter of 23rd February 2024, to which I have received no response. Given that a fortnight has passed since you received that letter, I should imagine that you have had sufficient time to take any necessary instructions.
The concerns notice in Queensland, I'm pretty sure it's 28 days. So they sent this after 2 weeks, according to him. The recipient of a concerns notice typically has 28 days to respond. So wait, Drew Pavlou is saying that his lawyer sent this, and his lawyer sent it after 14 days. Not 28 days, 14 days. Drew, you wrote this yourself, and you don't actually know what the time frame for sending a follow-up to the concerns notice is, which is 28 days.
Can you please advise A, whether Mr. Gonitis has any response to the concerns notice given on behalf of Mr. Pavlou, B, whether Mr. Gonitis intends to institute defamation proceedings as foreshadowed in your letter of 30 January 2024, and C, if not, whether you have instruction to accept service of defamation proceedings to be instituted by Mr. Pavlou against Mr. Gonitis. Yours sincerely, Anthony J.H. Morris, KC. Now, that was the end of it. They never replied. They dropped him as a client and we never heard from him again.
They dropped him as a client. On February 8th, they stopped working for me at my explicit instruction. And then I very publicly ran a fundraiser live stream where we raised $80,000 for UNRWA, which Israel says is Hamas, as a result of choosing to do that instead of fundraising to sue Drew Pavlou. So I wasn't dropped as a client. Before you sent this letter, I ordered the law firm to stop all activities related to my case. And then we ran a fundraiser. So this is pure fan fiction. This letter, I never received it. And it's basically someone, like what Drew did here is he put a bunch of shit backed up by nothing in a letter, just listing it. And then the evidence that he showed for it does not back up the claims that he's making at all. And the claims that he's making are not at all related to the defamatory imputations that we sent the concerns notice about, which was him making allegations of literal child sex crimes.
Now, in conclusion, I published this legal exchange and this debunking in the hope that it may be of some use to anybody
terrorized by
Bad Empanada in the future. This guy's legitimately a moral, political, and spiritual terrorist, and he thinks that he has total impunity.
Spiritual terrorist?
Because he lives in Argentina, where the civil court system is broken.
How is the civil court system in Argentina broken? You could sue me tomorrow if you wanted. They're just using that as an excuse for being pussies. Sue me in Argentina. It's not fucking hard. I would invite it, Drew. Do it, Drew. Why not, Drew? If I live in Argentina and I was able to try to sue you in Australia, you can sue me. You can sue me living in Australia. Though I live in Argentina, you can do the same thing. It doesn't matter where you live. You can sue someone if they do shit to you online that is actually against the law. You can do it. It does not matter where you live or where they live. In many countries, most countries it's possible. In Argentina, it's certainly possible. They're just making that up as an excuse for being pussies, basically. As an excuse for not following through with their threats. You're going to see this soon where Ethan Klein isn't going to do anything to Noah Samson because it was all for content.
Remember, terrorists only have power if you give them power over you. Never capitulate to his terrorist tactics. Hold strong, call his bluff, and he
This is so funny.
will fold like he folded above. Thank you so much. Most blessed wishes, Alexander Matthew Timley, Phillips XVI, personal assistant.
I don't know. I guess he's reading his patrons. All right, he has his patrons. That's amazing. Okay, so to summarize here, Drew Pavlou was part of a doxing and defamation campaign against me, in which he stole my personal information from Argentine government databases and spread it. Then he made, spread, and posted defamatory screenshots accusing me of child sex crimes. As a result of that, people came to where they thought I lived and tried to kill me. And then as a result of that, I contacted lawyers about the possibility of initiating defamation proceedings against Drew Pavlou for him accusing me of child sex crimes. We sent him a concerns notice, which is the first stage in suing someone for defamation. Then 2 or 3 weeks later, once they quoted me probably $30,000 to go to trial, I decided that it would be more productive and better to instead spend that money on running a fundraiser, and we raised 80,000 United States dollars instead of suing this fucking idiot. Then, according to Drew, 3 or 4 weeks after that, he sent me a letter in which he brings up a bunch of things that are totally irrelevant to the defamation, to the actual defamation case, which would be about the allegations of child sex crimes. That is the only thing relevant to the concerns notice. You can't bring up a bunch of irrelevant shit in a defamation case, even if it's true. But then the irrelevant shit that he brought up obviously wasn't true, because the evidence that he showed for it is not even related to the things that he's talking about. He never actually sent me this supposed letter. I never received it. By his own admission, he also never received any communication from the law firm, who according to him, dumped me, who I had already ceased collaborating with before he supposedly sent this letter. Now he is trying to play off this letter. That's nothing what this is. This is him sending an email, which, to be clear, he never even sent me. It's him writing an email, which he never sent, to be more apt about what this actually was. And then citing the email that he himself wrote, as if it's like an official court document in which a judge ruled those things about me, rather than something that Drew Pavlou wrote and he's just reading off as if it's true, while showing random fake tweets interspersed with some real tweets on the screen as his supposed proof, almost none of which have anything to do with the claims that he's making at the time. So yeah, I guess I've been destroyed? This guy is the biggest joker in the world. What an incredible moron. It reminds me of Ethan Klein reading off his letter to Noah Samson, as if that because it's written somewhere that means it's true. These people treat them writing you a stern letter as if the things that are written in that stern letter proves it. Because that's all that Zionists can do. They make statements and don't provide evidence. Drew Pavlou. I will reiterate. Posted this tweet, this disgusting tweet. I can't believe he posted this, and I can't believe that he would render himself open for defamation by just openly endorsing allegations of pedophilia against others. Anyone can now say whatever they want about Drew Pavlou. To be clear here, if you publicly accuse someone of child sex crimes, totally unprovoked, they didn't do it to you first or anything like that, you should have everything horrible done to you. And you should have no recourse if they start spreading the same thing about you, which in Drew's case is true. He really did post that. It is my own personal policy. If you do that against me, I will do the same right back to you, except when I do it to you, it will be true. So be fucking careful about shit you make up. You clearly have no grounds for complaint about it, given that you did it first.